Welcome to the Government News Brief for Wednesday, February 8, 2017. In the news, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams clarifies his role in vetting the city parking meters. Some 60 airstrips are expected to be VAT exempted, and the European Union is assisting Guyana in promoting and protecting indigenous rights. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Ranetta Fleur, and here are the details. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams clarifies his role in vetting the city parking meters bylaws before they were signed off by the Ministry of Communities. Details from Zanil Williams.
Speaking with the media today, the AG admitted to vetting the laws. Williams says he vetted the document while Minister of State Joseph Harmon was out of the country.
You must look at what Mr. Bulkan said. What did he say? Remember, it was stalled, and then he had to sign it, and he signed it. Why did he sign it?
So you're saying
what did he say when he signed it?
Me hear what he said. But listen to what I'm asking you.
He said that he was able to sign it because I had already vetted it. That's it.
Then why are we hearing this a lot as with the AG office?
No, but that was because the Minister of State in his post-press release would not have been in the country at the time.
The AG says in reviewing the documents, he did point out to City Hall that the parking fees were too expensive for the ordinary man.
I indicated that the terms that they contain were in terrorem. I thought you all would have remembered the Latin, that you would have been in terror, certainly to breach it. And I recommended to them that there was nothing unlawful about it, but what they had to do was rework the figures, which they apparently did. But even so, the reworking appears to be oversaddling the ordinary working class person, and I suppose they will have to have a look at that again.
The AG says he met with City Hall on Monday and they had undertaken to re-examine the fees. The Attorney General and City Hall were scheduled to meet again today.
They're supposed to meet me today, having undertaken to relook at the $50 is about 50 minutes and $1,600 a day, and the workers work 5 days. So you multiply the 16 by 5. I don't think the salaries could accommodate that.
So there's a possibility this could be lowered?
I would want to believe that.
The question of whether the bylaws were vetted by the AG before being signed off by the Minister of Communities was raised after different comments on the matter were expressed by Minister of State Joseph Harmon and Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan. Minister Bulkan had told the media that he signed off on the document after it was cleared by the AG. Returning from an overseas visit and hosting the most recent post-cabinet press briefing, Minister Harmon had said that the documents were still to be vetted by the AG. Zanil Williams reporting for the Government News Brief.
The Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, is expected to make some 60 airstrips VAT exempted. Here are the details from Tiffny, Rhodius.
The Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, has identified 60 domestic airstrips where travelers would not have to pay the 14% value-added tax, VAT. Commissioner General of the GRA, Godfrey Sasha, says this will be done to simplify the administration of the VAT.
It is too hard to administer, right? And I would not be going to the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs and to find out who lives in certain areas and to give them specific cards.
The GRA head says that the decision was made after meeting with domestic travel operators to hear their concerns. The operators would have to enter into an agreement with the GRA to apply for the exemption to persons living in the identified areas.
So I think I have exempted about 60, and airstrips or something like that, after discussion with the Aircraft Association, and the rest, once you do not show that you live there, you would have to pay the tax.
According to the GRA's list of exempted items, services of transporting passengers or goods by air from one place in Guyana to another place in Guyana is exempted, subject to the signing of an agreement between the government and the provider of the service for persons living in rural areas. For the Government News Brief, Tiffny Rogers.
The European Union (EU) is providing financial assistance to help Guyana promote and protect indigenous rights and reduce the rate of suicide. More in this report.
Grant contracts totaling $182.4 million were signed with You Challenge Guyana and the Amerindian People's Association. The non-governmental organizations will be partnering with 3 other organizations to implement 2 projects, the Helpline and Promotion and Protection of Indigenous Peoples' Rights in Guyana. Head of the EU delegation to Guyana, Ambassador Jernej Vedetic, says civil society and their roles in democracy and human rights are important to the EU.
There is a strong partnership between the European Union and civil society. Support to vulnerable groups, gender equality, equal opportunities, and fight against any kind of discrimination based on language, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, or religion are fundamental values not only of the European Union, but the whole world. With this support, the European Union would like to give its contribution to further promoting these rights and supporting civil society in this.
You Challenge Guyana, in partnership with Marundoy and Family Awareness Consciousness Togetherness FACT, will implement a 36-month project which aims to increase the supply of protective services for people at risk of suicide. The project, named the Helpline, was granted $87.9 million. The other project aims to correct discrimination against indigenous peoples to secure and protect their human rights. The Forest Peoples Program, FFP, and the Amerindian Peoples Association, APA, will team up for this project, which was granted $94.5 million. President of the APA, Tushau Barrio Hastings, says he's elated to have this opportunity while explaining it will aid in fighting for Amerindian rights.
We are positive that a project such as this will enable an inclusive process to ensure that deficient legislation which impedes or negates our rights will be corrected.
5 non-governmental organizations are set to benefit from these grant contracts. Zanil Williams reporting for the Government News Brief.
The Guyana Water Incorporated GWI will extend its service in Agatash Region 7 to provide for the increasing number of households. Sanika Thorne tells us more.
For the first time, residents of Agatash Region 7 will benefit from potable water. The Guyana Water Incorporated GWI will be installing a distribution main from Baidarabo to serve the community. Program coordinator within the Guyana Water Inc., Richard Hoyt, says the communities will be served by the Bartica Water Treatment Facility located in the compound of the Bartica Secondary School.
In 2016, we installed distribution mains in Baidarabo, and for the first time, the community of Baidarabo is getting water. And now we want to extend that to Agatash because there are customers in Agatash that don't have water, access to potable water. So we're correcting that this year in 2017.
Hoyt says that in an effort to meet the growing demand for quality water supply in the Bartica area, the water company will be drilling a well at 3 miles.
Bartica also is growing. We have a large population of miners also in Bartica. We have currently the Bartica water treatment plant is receiving water from the Mazaruni River for treatment. We know the issues with the Mazaruni River. We want to now provide Bartica with groundwater supply. We want to make sure that there is enough water to meet the demand in 4 and 5 mile Bartica.
Upon completion of these projects, customers within the Bartica area should receive a better quality of water supply and 24-hour service. The projects are part of the GWI's Coastal Program, which will see some $600 million being expended to improve water delivery. For the Government News Brief, Sanika Thorne reporting.
The only Prime Minister not to have received his pension will be one step closer to doing so. More from Paul McAdam.
The Hamilton Green Pension Bill is up for debate when the National Assembly sits on February 9. The bill was laid before the House by the Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan. It seeks to permit the payment of what the minister describes as a long overdue pension, benefits and other facilities to Green, who served as Prime Minister from 1985 to 1992.
The original law says, Presidents and Prime Ministers' pension shall be 7/8, right, of their annual salary, the highest annual salary, 7/8. Okay? Ex-President Jagdeo in 2004 took out the president from that bill, from the act, which was the President and Prime Minister's Act, and left prime ministers. And now the presidents now are entitled to 7/8 of the current president and or his successors. So they will always get 7/8 of whatever is the existing president.
Minister Jordan says the bill is not about Hamilton Green, but it is about paying him a pension that he is entitled to as someone who served as Prime Minister of this country.
Green is entitled to 7/8 of the Prime Minister's salary. Straightforward. It has nothing to do, and the reason why it's named Hamilton Green, because when Mr. Hamilton Green goes, this bill is dead. Why? Because every Prime Minister from Mr. Nagamutu going forward will get 7/8 of his salary. So if Mr. Prime Minister Nagamutu or for some reason says, I demit office, for some reason, he will get 7/8 of his salary.
The Hampton Green pension bill was put to the National Assembly as part of the efforts by the coalition government to correct what many view as a series of discriminatory actions by the previous administration. Paul McCallum for the Government News Brief.
The business minister is reassuring market vendors that measures are being implemented to boost their businesses. Gabreila Patram reports.
Minister Gaskin today visited and interacted with vendors at the East La Penitence Market to ascertain the general feeling of how business has been for them. There were mixed views from the vendors, but the main consensus from all of them is that business is slow and money is not circulated. However, the business minister said that the economy will be boosted in the coming months with a number of initiatives from the government.
What our government is doing to stimulate the economy, one of the most important things that we did was we started our budget cycle early, so that a lot of the public works that have to be done and contracts that have to be issued can be issued right from the beginning of the year, which means that a lot of the government expenditure and the government money will actually be circulating in our economy, and that of course does provide some stimulus.
Some of the other issues highlighted by the vendors were the deplorable washrooms, leaking roofs, and flooding when rain falls. The business minister assured vendors that engagements will take place with the relevant authorities to address their concerns.
We do have a responsibility for business, and business means all business, whether it's market, whether it's big business, small business, any kind of business, and we like to stay in touch with the business community at all levels, and this is part of our outreach that we conduct from time to time.
The Minister of Business says he will continue to visit various sections of the business community to interact, listen, and address their concerns. For the Government News Brief, Gabreila Patram.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on Gina's website. Gina has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. You can also visit our website and YouTube channel. Do join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Ranetta Fleur. Thank you for watching.